Hi, I'm Samantha Finnegan with Sybase. I'm here with Dr. Raj Nathan, Sybase's Chief Marketing Officer, Irfan Khan, Sybase's Chief Technology Officer, and Sinan Baskin, Sybase's leading technology architect for capital markets. We're here to discuss the release of the new data imperative, Managing Real-Time Risk in Capital Markets. So gentlemen, what did you feel the need to write this book given so much is already written about the financial crisis?
Indeed, there's quite a few books that have been written about the financial crisis, why it happened, all the causes for it, and so on. But what has not been written about and addressed very well is what an IT technologist could have done, should be doing, and continue to do. And that's what this book addresses.
People often are after a quick guide to be able to get them going. And we wrote the book in a very specific way to try and guide people in a very action-orientated way so they can take on board immediate opportunities and look over the horizon as well to see where they should be heading as an organization as well.
So how is the new data imperative different from other books, and what do you mean by new data imperative?
Well, the book focuses on how an institution, a financial institution, makes decisions regarding investments and portfolio management and so forth. This particular crisis is actually a result of a series of decisions made over a decade by many institutions looking at the financial markets information and acting on it. And our premise is that the quality of that data and how it is treated and how it is transformed into information mattered a lot. And that's our focus. That's what our focus is. And we wanted to establish a cause and effect relationship between the data, how it is used, and how it is presented, and the consequent results of decision making at the institutional level.
So what key insights did you learn while doing the research and interviewing key players on Wall Street?
I would say that's probably the most enjoyable part. The research element for this book really gave us a lot of insight. Today, it's really evident that financial services are looking at risk management as much more of a defined business initiative. And also, what we also discovered along the way was that because of the tactical way that applications were either created to solve problems or the manner in which technology was used, it inevitably has created a lot of legacy to manage and also a lot of complexity that also has to be managed along the side. So really, going forward, any opportunities that present themselves for really resolving this risk management issue that a lot of the financial institutions are finding themselves in is going to imply that they take on a stepwise methodology. So initially, for example, establishing a framework as a shared data repository, and then going all the way through to having an event processor where you can actually look at in-flight data and also being able to manage the historical context of data as well.
How do you see the future of capital markets in terms of regulation?
I think there will be more regulation, without a doubt, at the national level and possibly at the international level. Every government is going to bring in more regulations along the lines of banking structures that they have already put in place. But the more interesting question is, are governments going to support and promote the idea of a global regulator? Will there be an institution similar to IMF or World Bank that will have jurisdiction to cover the global operations of financial institutions and enforce regulations across borders? That's, I think, more the interesting discussion, and I think we'll get there or move in that direction fairly quickly.
So, Sinan, don't you also think that in our conversations with customers on regulation and what we see, there are three dimensions that are emerging? One is the notion that you got to provide data at a much more granular level than ever before to comply with the new regulations that are coming about. Mm-hmm. The second component is that sometimes you got to go back, just not the time windows for which you're supposed to provide data to ensure compliance, is actually going back further back into the past than it has ever done before. And the third is the amount of time that is there anymore for you to ensure compliance and report on compliance, right? That is getting to be much shorter than ever before, right? Wouldn't you say that is happening?
Yes, all three of those are happening. The level of scrutiny for the auditing cycle on a transaction basis is going to be much tighter. Mm-hmm. Regulators will require on-demand access to entire transaction life cycle when they want to investigate. and that has to be coming from a digital platform rather than archived information or paperwork that have to be put together. And the normal regulatory filings and so forth will have to be available sooner because there's first more detail to go through, and there'll be more regulators that will be looking at it. And it will be all about preemptive action in anticipation of something developing before it becomes so manifest that it is actually a crisis. So,
and I think this past experience, right, has also prompted various countries where the regulation was not as lax to get ahead and tighten up the regulations and conform to international standards so they don't see this in their countries as well.
What are you hoping readers will take away from this book?
When we talked to customers before we wrote the book, we clearly observed that customers are on different levels of the spectrum in terms of implementing these technologies and these architectures. We hope the book does, very simply, two things. One, it gives customers at all levels of the spectrum a confidence that technology is no more the impediment, even though technology may have limitations. But clearly, the current technology available and the current solutions available from Sybase, if implemented, will measurably improve their ability to have a better grasp on risk within their organizations or trading within their organizations. And we hope that if very simply, if that could be accomplished, then we've done our job.
We have really tried to be as concise as possible, be as instructional as possible. And really what we've done is, because of the level of interactions with the spectrum of customers, as Raj has pointed out, we've synthesized the level of uptake of technology and the maturity of technology that they may have, but in a very direct way so that they can hopefully harness what they have and be able to extend using the Sybase capabilities that we have on offer to really get into the promised land of being able to manage risk in real time.
We wanted to emphasize the criticality of having data and information being continuously fed into situations where real-time decisions matter most. They determine profits, they determine compliance at the regulatory level, they determine preservation of capital. And we wanted to make sure that exposure to the sequence of events that are essentially very dynamic globally are reflected in the information that is constantly fed or presented to the decision makers.
Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Indeed, we would all agree as IT practitioners that we could have done more to help our firms by managing the information better. We have to manage information better in a broader, comprehensive way as opposed to siloed way, manage it in a more strategic way. We, Sinan, myself, and Irfan, with our own personal experience, plus having spoken to several in the industry, have created in this book a framework to manage information in a strategic fashion going forward. So I ask, let's not wait till the next crisis. Let's not wait for tomorrow. Let's do it today. There's no impediment to do it today. Let's do it today.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Pleasure, Samantha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And for more information on the book, visit sybase.com/New Data Imperative.